And then now on to the networking. This is really the most important part, right? So you have to have a broad outreach strategy, and start kind of with your zone of commonality, right? With the people that you're reaching out to. Again, here I break them out into probably 5 buckets for networking, and we'll kind of go through. One is the school alumni or school connections. Number 2 is the geographical outreach. Number 3 is targeted company emails. Number 4 is cold LinkedIn outreach. And then number 5 is your institutional support, like career services, et cetera. So let's break this down. Number 1, your school alumni, right? So I would really focus probably 40 to 50% of my efforts here. This is where you have the biggest zone of commonality. And this is probably where you will get the highest hit rate, right? So these people you share some sort of interest with, right? You've gone to the same colleges, you've been on the same groups, et cetera. Really appeal to that. And then kind of one other outside the box thing here, I'd also add, to this alumni from, if it's your MBA, if you're an undergrad, or your undergrad, if it's an MBA, those programs, because by extension, they're kind of alumni of the school, right? So reach out, make a connection and we'll get to in a second on the messaging itself, but kind of make a connection on why you're reaching out and then appeal to that commonality. Number 2, geographical outreach, right? So I think one thing from COVID, I think we know that there's A, more likelihood that things are going to be remote, but B, also that people are more comfortable with people doing things remote. So you can either take an inside out and an outside in approach. By inside out, I mean you focus on areas in your hometown or your state schools or your school states or the cities that your school's in to start, but then you can slowly branch out and kind of go inside out and more geographically. So if you go to school in Chicago, focus on the Chicago area, then go kind of a little bit more broad to the Midwest, et cetera. And, or you can take kind of a top down approach or outside in approach and kind of focus on a few. If you go to schools in smaller towns and there's not that many companies there, start with the big cities. Like they're probably going to be fine with you doing a remote internship anyway, right? So just kind of focus in on your particular situation and then be able to make a connection to kind of why that geographic area or that company makes sense. Number 3, targeted in a small company approach. I'd probably spend like 15 to 20% of your time here, where what you're going to do here, what that means is basically you're going to research and select specific companies that align to your interested industries or functions areas. Research them and then write to them a note about why they're doing what they're doing is so interesting to you and where you and this is why you want to devote your time here, right? So these could be very, very effective. Sure, the hit rate might be lower than your school alumni, but these could be really effective because you're actually already kind of doing an internship project for them by being thoughtful about writing about why they, what they're doing is interesting to you. So, and how you can add value, right? So I think this type of targeted approach could really work. Another strategy for the targeted approach you can use is, let's say you were going to work in corporate strategy at a media company, right? Or some sort of a finance internship. I would kind of target companies in the industry that are similar to the ones where you lost your offer. The rationale here is that, you put yourself in the company's position. If your competitive firm thought highly enough of you of giving you an offer, they probably think you're worthwhile as a candidate and you only lost your offer because of the broader, coronavirus. And so they're more likely to give you a shot with that. Number 4, cold LinkedIn email, right? So I think I would probably still devote like 15 to 20% of your time here, but this is kind of like house money, right? So go as broad or narrow, as senior or junior as you like, but just kind of do it and put it in your repertoire. Your hit rate will be low. It's going to be about volume, right? So you got to make it up in volume and reach out to as many people as possible. And then, change your strategy and adapt your strategy as you go, kind of seeing what is working and what's not. And then finally, I would check in, number 5 here, check in with your universities and check in with some kind of support systems and see kind of what they have in place to help people who've either lost their internships or their jobs. And I think they hopefully will have connections because they are also focused on their job ratios, right? So you want to appeal to that, but note that these may not be the most competitive, the best jobs out there that you think you want, but it is another resource that you guys can use.